When you hear about the word psychology, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it someone lying on a couch while a doctor analyzes their dreams? Or maybe someone who can instantly read your thoughts by just looking at you? Well, let's clear things up.
What is psychology? Psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Psychology tries to understand the patterns in human behavior, emotions, thoughts, relationships, and learnings that any other areas that has affected our daily lives.
It involves research, experiments, and evidence. Psychologists use scientific methods like surveys, observations, tests, and experiments to understand behavior.
Now, let's talk about what psychology is not. Psychology is not about mind reading. Psychologists cannot read your mind and they cannot predict your future.
So it's not like a friend tries to read someone's mind and fails.
So you are thinking about food.
I'm always thinking about food. That doesn't mean psychology.
Psychology is also not just giving advice. It's more than simply telling to calm down or think positive. Certified psychologists are trained and licensed to assess mental health, diagnose disorders, and apply evidence-based techniques. Psychology is not magic, not fortune-telling, and not guessing people's personalities by their zodiac sign. It is a science based on research.
So to sum it up, psychology is a science that helps us understand why people think, feel, and behave the way they do. So it uses real evidences, not guesses, as superpowers. So psychology is important in our daily life because it helps us understand ourselves better. Our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, our relationships, so we can make healthier choices and manage stress effectively.
What are the goals of psychology?
So psychology has four main goals. First is to describe behavior, second is to explain behavior, the third is to predict behavior, and the last one is to control or change behavior.
The first goal of psychology is to describe behavior. Kasabot ani, we observe how a person acts or behaves in a situation. For example, if a student feels nervous before an exam, psychology describes that as exam anxiety. The second goal of psychology is to explain behavior. Dili nang isabto nga no maning-ana siya. Example, basin nervous siya kay wala siya ka study before an exam, hadlok siya mga palpak siya or dili siya maka-answer or mabagsak siya. So the third goal of psychology is to predict behavior. Kung masabtan na nato ang behavior sa usa ka tawo, dili na nato ma-forecast or ma-predict o say possible na buhaton niya sa sulod. Example, kung mag-study siya, dili na siya ma-feel nervous, like confident na siya maka-answer siya sa exam. And the last goal of psychology is to predict or change behavior. This means na tabangan nato siya nga mausap iyang behavior or emotion. Example, bigluan nato siya o relaxation techniques para ma-less ang stress o maka-build o confidence.
Dagan kayo branches ang psychology. Naay main or naay important ones. Clinical psychology, educational psychology, or industrial or organizational psychology. Ang clinical psychology is kani nga branch motabang ni siya sa mga tawo nga naay mental illness, naay mental problems like depression, anxiety, and kaning educational psychology is nag-focus ni siya sa teaching of learning process sa students o ang method sa maestra. And then ang industrial psychology is nag-focus ni siya sa workplace para mo improve ang skills sa mga empleyado o i-interview ang mga empleyado kung specific ba sila sa rule nga ilang ikuha.
So to better understand psychology, we must know its application in our daily life. So ako na ito mga examples and ako ni siyang prepare for students. And So first, psychology is helpful in for students to study effectively. But first, to study effectively, we must know our learning styles or kanabit ang mga ways and kung saan na pag-absorb or process sa information. Some examples are mnemonics. Familiar ka ang mnemonics? So, mnemonics kanabit ang these are memory aids that connect new information to familiarly known information. For example, kunay, ang color sa rainbow. Maka-memorize ka sa color sa rainbow. Dili siya sunod. Diba sila? So to understand that, para maka-memorize ka, maka-recall ka sa color sa rainbow, naayon ko ang mnemonics anak, which is Roy G. Freed. Hindi siya ang R for red, O for orange, and so on and so forth. Next is, another method is chunking. When we say chunking, kanang atong i-divide into groups or kanang like, kasi ang ginagmayon bitaw para mas ma-recall ang kuan. Example, bitaw mag-memorize ka o long sentence. Hindi mo siyang i-memorize is mga phrase by phrase ni mo siya i-memorize. So next is, psychology helps in boosting motivation and productivity. So sa psychology, we have this behaviorist, panganiya is B.F. Skinner. Na siya yung theory which is operant conditioning. Ang kanang operant conditioning is, it explains how behavior shaped by its consequences. Like example, if certain behavior is followed by a reward, we tend to repeat it. Then if a certain behavior followed by a punishment, ato siyang i-avoid.
Psychology teaches us to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions. Techniques like mindfulness, deep breathing, and self-reflection helps us reduce our stress by helping us stay grounded in the present moment. Another crucial factor po is our sleep, diba? Sleep is our biological needs. It is also a psychological needs because it helps us regulates our emotions, ato ang focus, ato ang and concentration, and ato ang memory, ato siyang ma-enhance when we have enough sleep. Finally, psychology helps us understand the basic concepts like empathy, perception, and communication can go a long way. Like, if understand ta sa perception sa uban, we can respect that and dili nato sila i-judge kanang basing sa ilang istorya or kanang ilang perception sa usa ka butang kay even though kanang we see the same event or the same thing, wala ta kahibaw nga ang perception diay sa uban is kinabitang lahi sa atoa. It's because our perception is based from our unique experiences.